Kia ora, hello, and welcome to Ordinary Life with me, Kitty, and
me, Emma.
And we're talking about Parkinson's and all things Parkinson's.
Yay!
Because we've had the not so wonderful experience of living with it for a very, very long time.
Too long.
But we are not medical experts, so please don't take this as official advice. We're just two wannabe know-it-alls who just talk about stuff that we think of. And we're also sponsored by Cover Yours Insurance in New Zealand. From Quote to Claim, they're in your corner. Thank you very much, Cover Yours. And we're going to talk. This is going to be a hard one, I think.
Not sure.
Neither of us are very sure. But last week I said something about possibly the impact of being slow and typing and how I found it very, very difficult. And it made me think that maybe I should talk about the very real impact that it does have on my life.
Yeah, you mentioned you felt like it was hitting your identity when you were talking about the typing.
Well, for someone,
the writing?
for someone that does a podcast and has a blog about Parkinson's, it's kind of weird that I say I don't want to be defined by Parkinson's. But I don't want it to control every aspect of my life. Yeah. And that's kind of what this is about. It's kind of about, because I don't know about you, but I see this podcast as hopefully promoting that it's not the end.
Yeah.
And you can still have a good full life despite a terrible disease.
Exactly.
Because it is a terrible disease.
Yeah. But
we don't often talk about the fact that we do accept, amongst all the laughter and the smiles and the gosh, isn't it silly? the reality is it's really tough.
Yeah.
And the reality is, somebody asked me what my children thought about it recently, and my children kind of don't care. But then my daughter's training to be a doctor, and suddenly she's like, "Mum, this is really bad." I'm like, I know.
It's funny because you said something about you felt like you were the medical sort of guinea pig case study thing for your daughter, and I thought that was quite funny. But is it kind of coming home to her a bit more now?
Well, she's still not done all of it, but she sometimes I think she doesn't want to raise it sometimes because it's uncomfortable, you know, and even planning my future with Mike, we'll be talking about what we're going to do, and he'll say, "Oh, we can do this and we can do that," and I'm like, "Mike, that's like 15-20 years away. The reality is and he's like, "Oh, but you might not get any worse," and you're like, "Well, I hope not."
Yeah, but
I don't really want to think about it.
Yeah, I get through most of my life by trying not to think about it. Yay! And then we do the podcast and we have to think about it. Gosh.
Yeah, because I don't like talking. I often say I'm only honest about it with very few people, and then I come on and record a podcast where I'm also honest. I forget people listen to this. People that I actually know listen to it sometimes, and that's a bit weird because the reality is that it's absolutely bloody terrifying.
Yeah, and I kind of have no words because it is exactly what it's like, and you kind of. I mean, I've gotten quite far by just going, I'm trying not to think I can't do stuff. I'm trying to just kind of keep a neutral mindset on that. But if you do think about it, it does really get you sometimes. And, I read this morning, actually, I was going through my notes looking for something to write about, and I found a letter that I'd written to myself. It was one I'd written recently, but I had not remembered it. And it was addressed to my 20-year-old self. And
I remember you were talking about doing that. I think that's a really good idea.
It was really quite funny, actually. But it's kind of like when I read stuff like that is when I go, and I used to feel like think about it a lot more in the early days. I used to feel like, when I went through periods of time where I felt like my life was kind of, pretty much.
You think it's over, don't you?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do, and sometimes you think, what is the point? Because what am I going to be like? And I already find things really hard. How much freaking harder can it get?
Yeah.
And then you think, I don't want to know the answer to that. And also, you just think, I have to try and push back as much as I possibly can. But that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And it's all, everyone's going, oh, you're so positive, you're so happy. And I'm just like, actually, you don't see me when I'm crying and when I'm upset.
Yeah.
She says, nearly getting upset.
Yeah.
Because I do.
Yeah.
And, there you go.
There's the emotion. Oh my. She says dryly.
Yeah.
Pointing it out.
Yeah.
I got a bit of a glimpse of it when during the DBS stuff in Auckland, and as part of the dopamine test, they do this assessment of you. It's called something weird like MDS up doctors or something, doctors up scale or something or other, and it's got all this stuff in it that if you read it, you'd go, oh, I'm quite mild. Oh, I'm on the mild.
I'm fine.
No, I mean literally, like the how bad it kind of must get, and that's the stuff that I try not to think about and don't want to look at. Yeah,
I've met people who had Parkinson's for maybe 4, 5, 6, 7. The youth out there are going 6, 7. Sorry. No, I'm a mother of teenagers, so I've got to try and lighten the mood somehow. Look it up. Yeah, I met people who have Parkinson's for a lot less than I have. And it sounds awful. It's awful. You look at them and think, oh my God, at least, it's significantly worse sometimes. And you have a mixture of sympathy, which they don't want, because none of us want sympathy, and fear. Yeah. It's often fear, actually. I just think, I don't know. And then you think all those awful things that people say to you, like, I don't know how I would cope with that, or I don't know what I would do if this happened. And that sounds really awful, but that is the bare, honest truth. And I would defy anyone to say that, you look at a person who has something awful and there is a still small part of you that sighs a sigh of relief that you are not in that situation. Because that's what we all do. That's the harsh reality. That's not to say that it's anything to do. It's not that person's fault in any way, shape, or form. But we all have a different version of this. Yeah. And we all think that ours is absolutely terrible. And sometimes you think there are different versions of terrible. Yeah. That sounds awful. But it's true. I don't know.
It's kind of part of the weird contradictoriness of life itself. But it's kind of it makes me think about the times where I've been kind of wanting people to have more understanding, and then the times when they see me, like when I have got the worst kind of symptoms,
and they're horrified.
And they just go all like, oh my God. And that's when I sort of, it comes home to me, and I feel like, yeah.
I know that, I'm thinking about a particularly unhelpful person that once went, do you crawl on the floor? Don't know who that was.
Funny thing about crawling, just as an aside, I've started to do it a bit more because I've been doing this kind of mobility course, and they use crawling as like something that is actually good for your brain to do, and I've been going, yay, I can crawl. And
I will say I've been getting down on my hands and knees quite a bit, because then you can just getting up without using anything.
Yes,
and learning how to stand to try and keep mobile has been really good. I can sit on the floor cross-legged again. Yeah, and I couldn't. Oh, wow. I couldn't a few 12 months ago. No, there was no way I could sit on the floor cross-legged.
Yeah.
And now I regularly on an evening when I'm watching TV, I'll sit on the floor and I'll cross my legs and then swap them over and try and do some stretching, and it just really, really helps.
I find that way more comfortable than sitting on the couch sometimes.
But I didn't, and it's taken a lot of effort, and that's one of the things I think that maybe having something like this makes you a bit more aware of how to keep moving and the importance of keeping moving.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but like to go back to what I was saying about being shocked or upset sometimes, even my own progression. I've got some physio that I did with, when I did the LSVT big stuff, and I still do that. So if you are listening, hey, we still do it. We still think of you.
Yeah, I still do it.
And some of it I find really hard. Some depending on if I'm up or down on my meds, and I always find that really, it almost makes me cry sometimes, because I remember when I first learned it and thinking, oh, this is fine.
Yeah.
And some of it I found a little bit difficult, but only a little bit. And now sometimes I find it much worse.
But the interesting thing with that is that you can train it, and look how quickly when Hope came back into the room.
Hello, Hope.
Hello, Hope. We turned it around, but it just goes to show that the mental side of this, the mental game, is really the biggest thing, I reckon. For me now. It used to be exercise, but like
I had a long conversation with said medical school daughter recently about antidepressants.
All right.
Because she said to me, "You seem to be crying a lot," and I was like, "Oh yeah." And I was trying to explain that whole depression, Parkinson's thing, and I said I should probably take antidepressants, but I don't want to, because I know that it's coming one day, and it's coming for me. I said, but I'll never come off them. So I kind of, I find that a bit of a weird thing to get my head around.
What did she say about that? Did she?
I'm not sure she was fully aware of the longevity of it, because she hasn't studied it all yet.
Right.
And I'm not sure if she knew, because everybody hears about dopamine and everybody knows about that, but and again, because I don't research it, because I'm just a bit lazy and scared.
What? You've got enough on your plate.
Yeah. But yeah, a mixture of laziness and scared. So I haven't read enough about the chemical imbalances that occur in your brain. But I know that it's a chemical imbalance that I can't control. It's not that I'm really depressed. It's that my brain's kind of going, doesn't work.
The other weird thing I learned when they were telling me about how DBS works is if they go too deep with the electrodes, or in a wrong position,
you'll start reciting things in French.
No, that would be cool. And one thing they can make you do is start crying, which is really interesting, because it's because something about the electrode creates this little field, and if the field is too big, it hits things that you don't want it to, like if you go
repressed memories.
Maybe I have no idea how that works, but so it's something wrong in your brain, and you get strange different behaviours.
You don't really want to think about how they discover these things, eh?
Well, it is quite an interesting story, but I can't remember exactly how it goes. But Johnny could tell us.
Johnny's got some cracking stories. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we should get Johnny on next time, eh?
He's always good for a laugh.
Because laughter is probably one of the biggest things we've
More
used,
laughter is always good.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if that was a bit dark, and but I just felt it was worth talking about, because and obviously 15 minutes is not really enough to really fully go through everything, but we feel your pain.
Yeah.
But we think you should laugh anyway. basically.
Laughing is basically the only sane response sometimes. I feel.
Because the alternative is just too depressing.
Yeah.
To be honest. So yeah, just keep smiling. Just chin up, Poppet, and keep smiling. That's what they say.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Come
and
on,
all that.
darling. Not that bad. And you go, it is actually. But no, in all seriousness, thank you so much for listening. And if you have any comments or queries or questions, you can contact us at ordinarylife.nz. And we are also on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find all our past episodes. And we are indebted to Coast Access Radio for getting us on the straight and narrow and keeping us, sane. And anything you want to add, Emma?
Oh, no, just thanks, Coast Access, and thanks, Kitty.
Thanks, Emma. We'll be back next week.
See you later. Bye.
Goodbye.
This episode was produced at Coast Access Radio with support from Irirangi Te Motu, New Zealand On Air. You can catch this and other podcasts online at accessmedia.nz, or you can search Coast Access Radio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.